Ladies and gentlemen, gather around. Union Smack is back again, officially reviewing NXT UK this week. I am back, Travis, alongside my main man, my co-host, the dude that's been here since the very beginning, the Maniac, Matt Tennant. How you doing, man? Where can everyone catch you and our store and all that goodness?
You can catch me, as usual, on Twitter at @ThePerfectTenant, and go to our Big Cartel store, unionsmack.bigcartel.com, to purchase the official merchandise from all of your shows, Travis, and we can say that now because we have shirts from every podcast we've got going, and it's actually our 3-year anniversary. So throughout the whole of this week, we'll be dropping new shirts, new merchandise, all leading up to our brand new Union Smack World Tour t-shirt at the end of the week. So do look out for that and go and support us. And you can go to completelynovel.com where you can buy my Undertaker book, A Trip Down Death Valley.
3 years. My God, time has flown by. It really has. I can literally remember recording our first episode, very first time I met you. Like it was yesterday.
Yeah, me too. Like I remember sitting there with like a folder full of notes, not knowing what you were going to ask or what we were really going to talk about. And now it's just, we've fallen into a nice little format, and thank you to everyone who's stuck with us for 3 years.
For sure. To see how far this brand has evolved in 3 years. Well, now it's kind of stagnant, no fault of their own, but we'll get there. Before we do, follow me on Twitter at the Hibiki TNB. That little red button right down below, hit it, subscribe right here on YouTube. All the goodness, retro gaming, pro wrestling, heavy metal podcast, Terry Bollea's bullshit, all the goodness in between. This is a weird one. This was a weird NXT UK episode this week we're checking out. Now, when I saw the thumbnail on the network, Matt, for this episode, I just thought, oh, it's a highlight show, like a best of again. But no, these are like dark matches that we've never seen before, all technically brand new.
Yes, and it's the second one. We had, I think it was like 4, maybe 5 weeks ago, episode 92 of NXT UK was another, quote unquote hidden gems episode, and I don't think we did that together. I think I reviewed that one on my own, but I like that they've got so many dark matches, Travis, like in the vault now, that they can wheel these out now and again. And I know for a fact that from like even the inaugural UK Championship tournament onwards, every show they've had several dark matches. They've recorded them all, so theoretically, if you did 3 matches an episode and cut the episodes down to like 35 minutes, you could put out a brand new episode of NXT UK with never before seen matches up until, I'm going to say, the beginning of July.
Now, that can only get you so far, but for now, I'm just thankful for what we have. Now, I know that the entire history of house shows, of dark matches in general, is that it's to get the crowd warmed up, to get them ready for the televised stuff that's coming, or blah, blah, blah. But I also think they're taped, too, just for things like this, as a backup, in case plans go awry, like with the pandemic. I truly feel like that's why they record so much of these, too. I'll ask you flat out, do you think any of these matches from this week's episode would have made air had this not happened with the pandemic? I don't think so.
No.
Maybe on a DVD or Blu-ray, at best.
There's extras. Definitely is extras, but if I was to look at the 2 shows they've done so far of dark matches, I would say 3 of the 4 on the first one would have made air. But no, these were your standard Coliseum home video release matches.
Now, how this one started out, actually, I got a laugh out of me. It was just Andy Shepherd hanging out at his house in front of his laptop, just welcoming everybody.
Well, Andy Shepherd has been the backbone of this brand for the past, do you know what, I can't even remember how long NXT UK has been off air now. I'm going to say 7 weeks, 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Possibly. But like every week, Andy Shepherd has been there in his house, and he's just been directing traffic, and he's been directing the episodes, and he's done a fantastic job, because even when he's had no new material to work with, he's been there at the forefront. He's hosted for the last 8-9 weeks, so big props to him. Because
did you happen to spy that little action figure on a shelf while I was doing the intro?
No.
I did, but I couldn't make it out who it was. I want to say it's Jesse Ventura, but he had one single action figure beside his laptop.
Oh my God, how sad's that?
Well, I would say people should get used to Andy Shepherd because Nigel McGuinness came out this week and was furloughed by WWE.
Yes, he was. But I'm hearing that is only because he's stuck here in the UK and can't get back to America. So fingers crossed. Once all this has died down, and it will die down, Travis. It's got to. We can't stay in our houses forever. But
Yeah.
once it's all died down, then Nigel McGuinness will be back in NXT in NXT UK.
He'll be back. I have no doubt in my mind they want him back, and I think they're really pleased at the progress he's made. Quite frankly, how could you not? I think the first couple months with him, because he was in Ring of Honor as commentator, but I feel like the first couple months he was just getting used to being in a big corporate environment, maybe a little bit of nerves issue, but he has totally embraced it and fallen into that role quite nicely.
Oh, he has. I know. I've got not a bad word to say about him. I think I write a bit about him in my new book, NXT UK Year One, which I know I say it every week, Travis, but it is getting closer and closer to completion. Nothing but praise for him in that, and what a great job he's done.
Now, besides Slumber Party with Andy Shepherd, how did this week's episode of NXT UK officially kick off?
It kicked off with Finn Balor versus Kenny Williams from Coventry this year. And this was one of the matches I did expect to see on NXT UK television, because when the results came through, because I always look at spoilers, this didn't have dark match next to it. Now, because NXT UK they tape 4 episodes a night over 2 nights, they still put dark matches in, Travis, in between the recording of episodes. I mean, I don't know why, because the crowd don't need like riling up 3 hours into a show, but they do it anyway. And this was one that was on night 2 of Coventry, and I think it was like the second dark match of the beginning of the second hour.
It's really kind of baffling to me, too, from a booking standpoint, for these bring the crowd back up matches in between tapings or whatever. That's fine. But why use quite possibly the biggest star you have there? Doesn't that do the opposite by the time his match is over? You just burn him out again.
Yeah.
I mean, is it me?
No, it's not you. And I mean, this could have been any, but they had nothing else for him in Coventry. He'd already taped all the stuff with Imperium and Finn Balor versus Alexander Wolf. So I don't know. I mean, they could have lent more into that, but let's not forget that at the time they didn't really know, if NXT UK would carry on for a few months. The pandemic was taking hold, so I don't think they wanted to, plan anything ahead. So for all we know, second night, Finn Balor could have gone straight for Walter in the championship, set up for Ireland, etc. But they didn't want to risk it.
Now, for what it's worth, which is actually a lot because we're a review show, so you want to know our take on it. People may think I didn't enjoy this match. Complete opposite. It was very fucking refreshing to see a one-sided goddamn match for a change in pro wrestling. When you're trying to push one guy to take on this invincible monster heel with the belt, why should Kenny Williams get any fucking offense in? For one, it's Kenny Williams. I like Kenny Williams, but Kenny Williams, Finn Balor, the scale's a little tipped there. I like that it was pretty much a one-sided match. Balor, I like the slow shit talking headlock he did and just calling out Walter while having the headlock. It was very old school and not an excitement fest by any means. I enjoyed it. What I don't enjoy is I feel like he's a good heel. I still truly don't feel like heel Balor is going to work because people were still cheering the shit out of him in this match. They didn't give a shit about Kenny Williams at all.
No, they didn't. They didn't. And I mean, I didn't hate the match. I just can't get into Balor. Like, I don't know what it is, and we've said this in the past, and I'm sure we'll say it again somewhere down the line, because he's not finished with NXT UK, not by a long shot. But I can't get into him, and I can't explain why. I was gonna try and explain why then, but the words aren't there. I'm just not invested in him. I'm not interested in him. As for this match, it was fine. I felt the pace was a little off. Like you, I like that he dominated the majority of it, with Kenny Williams, trying to, come back here and there, but always getting shut off. I don't know. I'm not into Finn Balor right now.
I'm a complete opposite. I've always felt like he has that intangible that they love to talk about, that X factor. He does, he has it. I think a lot of it obviously is just the bad luck with the injuries, vacating the Universal title. There's no reason he shouldn't be a top guy, fully cemented on Raw or SmackDown right now. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
I can see the stance of people that can't get into Balor, especially when he's just plain Bruce Wayne babyface Finn Balor. He's so boring, so goddamn boring. And that's not about his in-ring style, just how he carries himself is completely different than how he carried himself as a heel in this. And it's crazy to think that same boring babyface guy does the demon role so goddamn well. How is that possible? But it is, and I think that's one of the great things about Finn Balor. He can do multiple kinds of gimmicks. We'll see.
Yeah.
Do I think he's taking the belt off of Walter? Possibly. I could see it, but where do you go from there?
Well, I'm going the opposite way. It's like I can't see him taking the belt off of Walter, but then again, can I see them booking Walter to go over Finn Balor?
Right.
It's a difficult one. I mean, this match, if it is going to happen, I mean, the pandemic could have called it off completely, but if they are going to renew this rivalry, it's not going to be until October when they reach Ireland. Why would you give that match away anywhere in England,
Right.
So, let's see. They might have called on Finn Balor by October, but I don't want to see him as NXT UK champion. I just don't.
I don't want to see it either, because it comes off to me like we don't have enough faith in this roster. Let's bring in one of our quote real stars to save this brand. I don't like they're doing that with Charlotte, and I'm a huge Charlotte fan. I don't like that she's the NXT Women's Champion right now, and I don't like if they would do it with us. It always comes off that way to me.
It does, and they've built Walter up, as a monster heel over the past year and a bit since he beat Pete Dunne, and anyone who beats Walter now will have an automatic, step up the ladder straight to the top. You've beat the dominant heel. It's a star-making opportunity, and it shouldn't go to Finn Balor.
Speaking of Imperium, quite a little bit's happened with Imperium since we've actually recorded an official NXT UK episode together, Matt. They're now the reigning regular NXT Tag Team Champions.
Yes, and I'm pleased they are. I mean, they can't do anything on NXT UK right now, so why not use them in a prominent role on NXT television, especially with Pete Dunne stuck in the United Kingdom, Matt Riddle off to SmackDown, which we'll talk about in a bit, when we get to the end of the episode. But why not? I mean, nobody wanted to see Undisputed Era, I don't think, as champions again. So I think it makes sense, build Imperium up with an American audience, have them drop the titles at some point before NXT UK kicks off again, and then maybe your American audience will be interested enough in Imperium to come back to NXT UK.
Exactly. I think it's smart. I think it's for flat out exposure for when the brand's kind of reopened again. You know what I mean? They go back.
Yeah.
By the way, I never thought we'd do one episode of this. In 3 years we've been doing it, where we had a segment to review later on that would involve the Street Profits of Matt Riddle. But lo and behold, we do. So stick around for that coming on later in the show. Real quick, I hated Kenny Williams' purple fucking Nikes in this. That's all I got on the match, though. Oh, I despise those shoes. Just, ugh.
I mean, Kenny Williams is a full-out jobber now. So, I mean, I'm surprised that's the only thing you've picked up with him, to be honest.
I hate it when guys wear sneakers in general not named John Cena, for me. Wear fucking boots. You're a wrestler. Where did that take us to next?
That took us to Rhea Ripley versus Nina Samuels from Brentwood, Essex, October 2019.
Did we both die and go to heaven? It's like your lady and my lady going out. What the fuck happened here? No, it's a shame. Well, is it a shame this didn't make TV? Because this wasn't an exciting match. You could tell this crowd was tired during it.
Yeah. I mean, for the occasion, it should have made TV. This was Rhea Ripley's last match in NXT UK, and it was a dark match.
Still a heel, by the way.
I think, on the verge of heel babyface, because, now let me get this right, a few weeks before this, she'd beat Piper Niven in Cardiff. Then she teamed with Piper Niven, and they had that whole thing with Ginny and Jazzy Gabbert going on. And then Jazzy Gabbert walked out, and obviously that had to be cancelled. And the night before this, they taped Rhea Ripley and Piper Niven versus Ginny and Jazzy Gabbert, I believe. And then this, and that was it. This was the blow-off to her NXT UK career. And for me, it was a travesty because she deserved a bigger exit than this.
At least a televised exit.
At least the televised exit. To be honest, I'd have, give her a few weeks off after Cardiff, and I'd have had a victory over Piper Niven, the last thing she did on NXT UK television, because it just felt like a wet fart after.
Right. I don't know if this, I still consider her a heel with this. I think that's another reason this crowd just didn't know how to react. There's two heels going at it. Nina Samuels is always money to me, but she was kind of in that Kenny Williams role for this. She got a little bit more offense than Kenny Williams did in his match, but not much.
Yeah, this was the buried Nina Samuels. She'd already, pardon me, she'd already, had Toni Storm for the title earlier in the year, and Download Festival didn't go well for her. She was just a body in a Battle Royal, and they've had nothing for her ever since. And this was just just go out there and fill the spot. That's basically what you're for now.
You mean that Download Festival where they had nothing better for her to do than walk around and get dirty in mud that we covered last year?
Yeah.
Which she interviewed random fans. That was so bad. She tried to make it work, but no, I don't think anybody could have made that work. Maybe The Rock. That's about it.
I went back and re-edited that in the book recently, and it's still cringeworthy just to read the transcript of things she said and things she did.
We did get to see Nina Williams is very underrated with her flexibility. She does that one spinning Sabat kick, which is beautiful when she needs it.
Nina Williams.
Nina Samuels, my bad. Nina Williams. Jesus. Nina Williams is a fighter from Tekken, by the way. Or Dead or Alive, one of them. One of those games. Now, Nina Samuels is very underrated, I feel like, in that. She can go. If anyone's seen her in progress, she can definitely go.
Oh, yeah, and it's a shame they don't use that Nina Samuels on NXT UK. But, we've said this time and time again. It's progress people, mostly, that are backstage in NXT UK, that are helping, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, etc., book this. I don't know why they don't push these, to those in higher power more, because they know they can go, they know they can work, and they're just happy to let them be jobbers when they could say, do you know what? This person, they're brilliant in progress. We know you've never seen them, but let's give them a chance, and they'll show you what they can do. But they don't do it.
It's another case too, and I know that NXT UK is probably one of the lowest viewed shows on the network. We can admit that, even though we love this brand. It is what it is. Nobody watches this shit, I feel like, and that's a crime. But I feel like even if they had plans for Nina Samuels coming up in current times, this was asinine to air this in the first place because she looked like cannon fodder. That's not how you showcase someone you want to get over. I don't care if 1 million people are watching it or 2 people are watching it. Yeah. Which makes me think they don't have any fucking plans for Nina Samuels. Did I say Nina Williams again? Did I do it again at first?
I didn't notice it if you did, but it's a possibility.
Sorry for the sniffles this week, by the way.
Jamie. Yeah, I've got a cough as well. I think I've got a cold coming. At least I fucking hope it's a cold.
Oh, God.
I don't. Can you imagine coming on next week going like, oh, I've got it.
I just came back, and I got to fucking leave again because I got the Wu flu. Yeah. I really don't. I'm trying to stretch this episode this week out as long as we can, but these were 3 dark matches, and I feel like I've pulled more out of this match than it probably honest. I don't have anything else to say about it. It was just another enhancement match, really. I will say that no matter what setting she's in, Rhea Ripley carries herself like a goddamn star. Whether it's a dark match, a main event of a show on pay-per-view, she's just got it. The future's bright with her there.
Yes, very bright indeed. And she was always going to outgrow NXT UK, but I'm still a little bit annoyed that this was all they had for her last match. Just no one's, you've the first NXT UK Women's Champion. You've put all this effort into the brand. You've basically reinvented yourself and kickstarted your career here. But this is, no one's going to see last match unless we're absolutely desperate for some content.
Shouldn't she have gotten like the Pete Dunne kind of send off? Like I know his last match wasn't with Walter. He had like a 6-man with British Strong Style in NXT UK. That was his last match.
No, Pete Dunne's last match was a dark match against Fabian Aichner in Cardiff.
That's weird that they take, and in my opinion, Pete Dunne and Rhea Ripley are the two male and females of this brand who are the figureheads because they're the first ever of holding those belts. So for me, that's an easy to compare them to that. It's crazy that they sent them off both like that after such great runs in that brand. Just, dark match, see you later.
I know, it annoys me. It's like Pete Dunne's send-off should have been like that night after Cardiff. Not that night after Cardiff. Yeah, that night of TakeOver Cardiff. Again, I'm not sure. I can't remember what they ended on the network, but him and Trent Seven came down to, congratulate Tyler Bate on a great match, and then, Pete Dunne stayed in the ring for a little bit and waved to the crowd, and he got a standing ovation as he went back to the locker room. That should have been it for Pete Dunne. It's like you don't need to give him another match, especially a dark match that. I mean, we might see it in the next few weeks, but yeah, baffling.
There's a little random ass vignette for Gallus, which seems like it's just something generic they have in the can to air at any time. It didn't really progress anything. It was just kind of like a little promo advert for Gallus. Travis Banks, Killian Dane, Download Festival 2019. Holy shit, this guy can't catch a break. And I know it might sound like we're exaggerating, or if you listen to the show over the past year or 2 years, every time we talk about Travis Banks, can't even win in a dark match, for Christ's sakes. The former Progress heavyweight champion can't even win in a dark match.
And not just any dark match, a dark match against a man who didn't matter to NXT UK, wasn't on an NXT UK roster, and didn't matter to NXT at the time because he was literally just coming back.
He still doesn't fucking matter to NXT. And I like Killian Dane, Big Damo, whatever. He peaked insanity. I'm sorry. It's never going to work. There's too many guys that have a better look than him that are better. I'm sorry. He's just too much talent there right now. Punishment Martinez, all fucking Keith Lee. Killian Dane doesn't stand a chance. I hate to say that because he is talented. But I think that's a guy who should just wait till his contract runs out and then just venture off. Yeah. He's just glass ceiling city in this company with him.
Sadly, because he's got the talent, Killian Dane. But here, it's like Travis Port. I felt so sorry for Travis Banks because it's like he wrestled back-to-back matches. Like, he literally just lost the United Kingdom Championship match to Walter. And then this was the very next match they had. They had him in a dark match against Killian Dane, and then they went on to tape the next episode.
Right after the match with Walter?
Yeah, back to back.
No wonder the crowd didn't give two shits about him. I was like, wow.
Like 5 minutes before this, they'd just seen him be pinned by Walter.
I thought, all right, because that makes total sense. Because I was like, yeah, they're treating him worse than Kenny Williams from earlier. What's going on? Like fucking nothing.
It's baffling. Like, you've had him pinned in front of the same audience by Walter albeit it was a very good short, I think it was like 12 minute match. But then you have him lose to Killian Dane, and the crowd are just like, well, now we officially give no shits about Travis Banks.
And back on Dane real quick. I don't mean to keep going back to Dane. It's crazy how 6 to 7 years ago, he was quite possibly the biggest star over there in Europe, Big Damo. One of the top guys, hands down, in any promotion. How times have changed. Unreal.
I don't think anyone cares about him anymore, do they? I mean, the last thing I saw him
What's there to care about? He always fucking loses. He never pulls through. In any fucking angle he's ever been in, he always loses at the end of the day, the big one. Any of them. Why should people care? Who's going to give a shit about, the big scary guy, but the big scary guy that never gets it done.
Didn't they job Pete Dunne to him, like, the last time they fought?
I think it was, but that was en route to, like, that Survivor Series, or the TakeOver Survivor Series NXT had, where it was a three-way with Pete, him, and Punishment Martinez, somebody else, but Killian Dane didn't win. So endgame it was just to make him look credible going into that three-way, but really it was fucking for naught,
Well,
So a wasted win, basically. A pointless win.
and I mean,
But
this match wasn't bad. I'm not going to sit here and say this match was like
match
boring or
decent,
hideous.
actually. Probably the best match on
It,
this card, on the show this week.
if you think, I mean, I like the main event better because it had
Yeah.
the pacing, etc. But I mean, you could tell Travis Banks was somewhat tired. But I mean, like, if Travis Banks is
What a
killing
gauntlet, by
Dave,
the way. Back-to-back Walter and Big Damo. Holy shit.
and he still gets no love or credit for it. Like,
God.
he
Who
literally
else has he
can't
got to
catch a
fucking
break.
wrestle? Does he got to wrestle a bear to get respected? Like,
They'd still book him to lose.
yeah, they would. They would. I mean, to be fair, I'd probably book a bear over a human being too, at least. Unless it's like Stu
Oh
Hart.
god. Oh, I don't know. What did you think of this match? It's like there's little you can say about
It was
it.
fine. It wasn't a pay-per-view worthy match, but it was fine. It could have aired on a regular NXT UK episode. Obviously, I think the booking was terrible. We both hated the finish, and I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think it did nothing for either guy. The big monster guy beat a guy who's 150 pounds lighter than him, who loses all the time anyway. So what good did that do for Killian Dane? None.
And do you know what? I can't before this, and I should because I've been hard editing, the book. I can't for the life of me remember when Travis Banks had a legitimate victory over a bigger name on television.
Maybe Devlin? And how long ago was that? In that no holds barred street fight or whatever?
Devlin won that.
Oh my God! See, there you go. I thought for sure Banks won. I know Banks beat him once, right?
Not before. No, there was. Let me get this right. Takeover where Travis Banks just got completely swapped out for Finn Balor. Then they had a double count out in Blackpool television tapings, and then in Covent, Devlin beat him in the no holds barred match.
I think it's fair to say, in retrospect, looking back, the most credible they've ever booked Travis Banks is when he first showed up in the second tournament. I mean, in his tournament appearance. Yeah. After that, completely downhill, downward spiral with his booking, off the rails, shit. Just when you think there's a little spark, they waste the title match with Walter for nothing. That should have been built up to a takeover, in my opinion. Why not?
It should have been. Absolutely. I mean, I'm glad in hindsight it wasn't Cardiff because we'd have never got the Tyler Bate Walter match we got. Right. But Travis Banks has lost every single high-profile feud he's ever had in NXT UK.
Got to be honest, man. This goes back to the territory days of Vince McMahon. And I know Jake Roberts ended up being a huge star. Roddy Piper, Kurt Hennig, all those guys were huge stars. There's a reason there was only one Hogan. When there's that much talent in one promotion, it's just guys are going to cancel each other out. You know what I mean? Had Hogan not been there, sure, Steamboat might have been champ. Sure, Savage probably would have had a more dominant run. But, I mean, you just said it. That match with Tyler Bate, we would have never got. Tyler Bate's always going to cancel out Travis Banks when they're on the same roster. It's just going to be that way. Hell, dare I say Trent Seven cancels out Travis Banks. It's too many cooks, too many baby faces, too many strong baby faces in the kitchen for a 1 hour weekly show, in my opinion. I'm sorry.
Yeah, agreed. And, for me, it's like the other quandary is no mid-card title. It means, like, if there was a mid-card title, at least men like Travis Banks might mean something. But there's not. It's like there's no European title forthcoming. I've heard, no news about a new championship being added. And so this is Travis Banks' path now for the rest of his time in NXT UK unless something drastically alters.
I don't even really care what they would call the belt at this point, just to give that brand a secondary title. You could call it the Brass Knucks title, the Blackpool Brass Knucks Championship. I don't give a shit what you call it. Just something's better than nothing at this point. It's desperately needed. If the North American title exists, there's no reason this brand shouldn't have a belt. None.
I mean,
dare I say NXT UK? This might be a take people don't want to like, but I've thought this for almost 3 years completely. NXT UK has a better roster than NXT at the end of the day for me. Basic NXT has a lot more developmental guys just learning, getting into the business, whereas NXT UK is an all-star team. Let's say it.
It's an all-star team of European talent that the world doesn't really know about yet, to the world's shame. But
I gotta watch
Just
fucking
imagine.
Shotzi Blackheart on my TV every week, Matt, but I can't get Travis Banks winning a match. That's where we're at in fucking pro wrestling.
Well, I mean, I've only ever seen her once in Evolve, but I will start watching NXT again when Pete Dunne returns, obviously. But it does not command my time
She's
right
all
now.
right in ring, but the howling. I first of all, I hate it. I hated it when Sarah Logan did it. I hate anybody that howls. Maybe Wolfgang gets a pass, but even that got old. Stop howling. You're not an animal. If you can't come up with something better than howling like a fucking wolf, you need to go back to the drawing board.
There you
Sorry.
go.
And I don't like the little tank. I think it's dumb too. I'm really desperate to get out some content for this episode this week. I'm trying, guys.
I can feel you turning the wheel hard. Like, we've got one match left. It's like, come on. We can eke another 10 minutes.
Well, I have been called a hat before, so I guess I am steering the ship. But at the end of the day, I know you hated the booking. What did you think of this in ring, though? This match?
I mean, in ring, it was fine. I mean, where it fell down was I didn't care about either man. So I didn't really care that Travis Banks fought from behind. I didn't really care that Killian Dane, was the Goliath against the David. If it had been someone I cared about, if it had been Trent Seven, I'd have been into the match more. But it wasn't. It was two mid-card wrestlers who meant nothing to their respective brands, and it was there to fill time.
I've written down in my notes here. I thought Travis Banks was wearing the Rocky Maivia debut '96 blue headdress around his neck, but it turns out it wasn't. That's what it looked like on the camera angle at first. I was like, what the fuck is he wearing? Yeah. Do we want to move on to the main event? Because I don't really think too much happened in between.
I mean, yeah, we can move on to the moment. We've got a few extra points, I think, to talk about in and around this. So, yeah, we can move on to the main
I will
event.
say one thing on this episode that was kind of funny and weird at the same time was them like, okay, the commentators, Andy Shepherd, it was Tom Phillips too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because these matches were taped so long ago, it was funny trying to see them like catch up the booking to current times, like how Ripley's changed, like the fans have changed their tone on Ripley and blah 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 and all this shit. It was weird.
I mean, it was weird, but I think credit to them for making the best of a bad situation. And can I just say, I don't think, and let's be fair, this is only the second show where he's had to provide commentary since the end of Coventry. I don't think Andy Shepherd has got any better on commentary yet.
Up here, and I think it was the main event. Did you catch that little slip up where he called somebody Mantar, and Tom Phillips called him out on saying Mantar?
No, I didn't.
It's there.
Why am I missing all these things?
I swear to God, there was a Mantar reference because it made me pop out of my. They just said Mantar. They did. I don't know whose name he was trying to pronounce, but he said Mantar accidentally, and Tom Phillips told him to get his shit together. Basically, Tom Phillips played a heel for a second. I couldn't believe it. It was great. Go back.
I mean, the only ones I can even begin to think who he's pronouncing would be Matt Riddle or Montez Ford.
I think it was Montez Ford, and he actually called him Mantar Ford or something. And Tom Phillips made a remark like, "Well, I know you have nerves or all that filling in and blah blah blah, but it's not Mantar. He hasn't wrestled here in like 30 years or something like that." It was fucking great. Probably the best part of the episode besides the main event, honestly, was that little line. Main event
and
time.
I fucking missed it.
I cannot believe that Matt Riddle and the Street Profits are in NXT UK 6-man action, coming after an in-ring promo with Grizzled Young Veterans when they were still tag team champs and everyone's favorite NXT UK performer, Matt.
Joseph Connors, fuck me.
In his too sexy Brian Christopher tights and all, yes. Decent 6-man match, more than decent. It was good. It was damn good. I feel like, obviously, if this would have had like a bigger spot on TV or something, we would have got bigger high spots out of it. But I'm sorry, I don't know, people don't like the guy. Matt Riddle is a goddamn star. I just talked about that intangible X factor with Finn Balor earlier. This guy has it too. Complete money. If he keeps on a straight and narrow and they don't fuck him up booking wise, no reason this guy's not going to be one of the biggest stars in the next 5 years. I can totally see the gimmick, the way he works, because of the cross popularity of UFC and MMA. Kids are going to think he's cool as shit. I think he speaks to the youth. He's just that kind of gimmick. I think kids are going to get it.
Yeah, again, couldn't agree more. I mean, I don't have high hopes that they'll handle him well on SmackDown. Let's be honest.
Mm-mm.
Based on previous performance of call-ups from NXT,
Well,
but
I
they,
even go back to the 0102 days of Rob Van Dam, where the only things they gave him was cool and whatever because he smoked pot. That was the lines they
yeah.
gave. I fear they're going to do that.
I mean, every promo he's just going to go, bro, and that's going to be the extent of his might work on SmackDown because the SmackDown writers have seen him do that in NXT and they think, yeah, that's the hook. We'll go with that.
What's left of the SmackDown writers? Because apparently Vince is firing them left and right recently. Which is
I
weird
don't
because
want.
SmackDown's been way better than Raw. I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, do you want Vince handling Matt Riddle?
I
Really?
this is what I want Vince to do as of June 1st, 2020. I want Vince McMahon to take his 78-year-old, 79, 80-year-old ass to a fucking island in the Virgins or the Poconos and retire and enjoy life and let somebody else take up the reins. I don't think I'm asking a lot. I'm asking him to go have a cool Mai Tai on a beach and chill.
But he won't
At
do
this
that.
point, at his age, considering all he's been through, that fucking grind. We know the old school guys talked about it, twice on Sunday, 350 shots a year. He's been through
Yeah.
every era of that. First there to last to leave. When does time catch up to this man? And at what point do you draw the line and go, I've had enough of the grind. It's time to enjoy the fruits of my labor. I'm sorry, there's borderline psychotic behavior in this guy's head. He is the epitome of a workaholic. Something's off kilter. Something's not right with the man.
No, and they're going to be prizing his corpse out of that chair.
Exactly. Yeah.
You,
They're,
you know it.
they're going to have
If
the
he lives to
viewing and the funeral service in fucking gorilla position at this rate, I feel like.
Oh my god, you're not wrong though, are you? It's like he's going to be sat at that monitor until he dies. If he lives to be 100 years old, this man will be in charge of WWE television at 100 years old.
I don't want this episode to totally turn into let's throw shit on Vince thing, but we never get to do this anymore. And how can anyone that loves pro wrestling truly not have a lot to say about what this guy's fucking doing lately? I know it's cliche to say he's out of touch and all that stuff. Based on Goldberg and The Fiend, based on Goldberg having any belt, based on the booking of the past 3 years, how can anyone argue he's not out of touch? He just is like a stubborn child with the book. And I know people want to be cool and contrary and say they enjoy Roman Reigns' title reigns because I know there's plenty of you out there. What the fuck are you enjoying? Because I, for one, don't enjoy watching wrestling where the crowd is shitting on a match and hijacking a match, conflicted crowds, not the right guys getting heat. What's so fucking enjoyable about that? It's just people trying to be contrary. Let me say that. Nobody has enjoyed Roman Reigns' title reign except for Roman Reigns' immediate fucking family and Vince.
That is true. And I don't know whether you've seen the Undertaker series on the network, but it's it seems to be Vince always pulling him back. I know he could say no, but it's almost like there were points in the past few years where Mark Calloway was ready to say, do you know what? If I don't wrestle again, I can live happy. But knowing his dedication to the business and Vince, it always seemed to be Vince just, hey, do you want to do this one more match? Knowing that he never be able to say no if offered.
I mean, the blame does fall on both ends, like you say, but it's no reason. No fucking reason in hell we should have got that shitty tag match at Super Showdown with DX and Taker and Kane. Oh my god. Good lord. Anyway, let's get back to some youthful performers who are still in touch with today's youth and all that shit. The Street Profits and Matt Riddle, probably two of the most over acts in the entire company, going against two of the most hated acts in NXT UK. This got really good heat in it. The crowd at multiple times stand up if you hate Gibson. No shoes off. I'm disappointed that people stopped taking the shoes off, but I'll settle for stand up.
I mean, did they not take their shoes? I'm sure in the promo they took their shoes off.
Oh, in the promo, you're right. But in the match, there was no shoes.
No, and he told them he could see their web feet and to put the shoes back on.
What was the smell like sitting there for a takeover with the shoes off? By the way, could you smell it?
You can't smell. You couldn't smell anything over the beat. Like I don't know whether you remember. It didn't happen so much in January, Blackpool too, but I remember the first Blackpool, and everybody like waving their shoes in the air, and the only thing you could smell was the beer on the floor because it just stunk the place out.
Right. I still feel like, to get back to this match, I feel like Montez Ford is one of the most underrated guys with charisma in the entire company. When he gave, I think it was James Drake, he gave him a chop and then he kind of mocked Drake. That was great. Where he did like the shaky I'm being chopped thing. Riddle looked pretty on point, pretty flawless. From all guys were flawless in this match. Not a botch in sight. I didn't see any. I miss Grizzled Young Veterans as the tag team champions so much. I really do. Like, looking back, it was depressing a little bit. Like, man, days passed. Like, damn it.
Yeah, it's like the golden era of NXT UK's gone now, and they're struggling to find their way a little bit.
Dare I say, Imperium kind of canceled out Grizzled Young Veterans when they came in.
Yeah, and you know what? I think even when Wolfgang and Mark Coffey really got it as a team, because for a long time they were quite boring. But when Gallus got the tag titles, and they really started to shift into gear together, I think even they cancelled out the Grizzled Young Veterans, and you could see it in Cardiff, and you could see it in Blackpool. They would literally a bit part Gibson and Drake. They just didn't mean anything to the match at all.
Yeah. Which is criminal. And I'm not going to say we told you so, but we kind of called this last summer in Cardiff when we said, you know what? Gallus is good, but they're not going to have the longevity of a GYV in this role. And then you proved us right, and they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't have nearly the career. And Wolfgang's charismatic. Mark Coffey sure shit is, and couldn't touch GYV as far as just getting heat and just charisma in general, in my opinion.
No. And you know what didn't help Gallus? And I know we've got off the point in the match again, but the fact that they didn't really know around December, January time heading into Blackpool 2 whether Gallus were heel or whether Gallus were babyface.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty sure as shit who was the heel and the babyface in this match.
Yes.
Did this come at like the end of the tapings, or is this in between?
This was bang in the middle of night 1 of the Plymouth tapings, because Matt Riddle, who did Matt Riddle fight? Matt Riddle fought someone else on the other night in a one-on-one, and so did the Street Profits in a tag team match.
Was it Cassius Ohno and Matt Riddle? Possibly.
No, I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think on episode 92, when Matt Riddle was shown fighting, I think that was the other night.
Okay.
And I can't remember for the life of me who it was.
How did you
feel? Dragunov.
Oh, nice. I didn't even know that match happened. Jesus. Why couldn't we get this on air this week? Hopefully, fingers crossed.
If I'm right, if it was Dragunov and you've not seen it, Travis, do go back and watch that match because it was very, very good.
What did you think in ring of the main event this week, Matt?
I liked it. I mean, when I checked the time on the network and it still had 30 minutes to go, and this match was like almost just beginning with the promo, etc. I thought it's going to be a slow burner. It wasn't really. It's like Grizzled Young Veterans did very well to almost educate the Street Profits in a way in tag team wrestling. I thought they played a great part. Matt Riddle was fantastic. I haven't even got a bad word to say about Joseph Connors. And you know what? Technically flawless, and I liked the final 5-6 minutes where it was all go. Everyone got their shit, and then Grizzled Young Veterans basically just abandoned Joseph Connors to fate, and it was the right choice. If anyone's going to take the pin out of them three, of course it's going to be Joseph Connors.
I loved at the beginning too, where the crowd was chanting "bro," and then Connors tried to get him to chant "Joe," and then they chanted "no." Good stuff.
Like if we'd have seen more of this Joseph Connors over the past 3 years, maybe I'd have warmed to him a tiny bit more.
Right. At the end of the day, what do you grade this week's episode? Dean Tennant of NXT UK.
I mean, I'd give this a B-. I'm going to be generous about it.
I'm going to give it The same thing. I'm gonna give it a B minus. You can go without seeing this. It's not must see, but if you happen to stumble upon this episode, it's a nice little. I don't want to say peek behind the curtain, but it's a nice little like special bonus features on the DVD, like you said earlier. There, you could do much worse for a wrestling show this week.
Yeah, I mean,
You could watch an hour loop of that opening ladder match from Double or Nothing, which is way worse.
didn't see it, won't see it. What I was going to say, Travis, was the whole Matt Riddle going to SmackDown thing before we sign off.
Yeah.
Do you think, like in the long run, and I know it's going to be 2 or 3 years down the line, hopefully, fingers crossed, like thinking about it, for me, it could be the perfect way to bring Pete Dunne up to the main roster if Matt Riddle becomes this like mega star.
For a feud with the two?
Yeah. Like I was banking on Pete Dunne turning on Matt Riddle, and the whole thing that's happened between Thatcher and Riddle in NXT happening between Dunne and Riddle, and then Riddle going on his merry way to the main roster. But I think this, in the long run, might work out as a better story. Pete Dunne comes back to NXT. Matt Riddle's gone. Matt Riddle lost the tag team titles, so that gives Pete Dunne something else to be bitter about. Then I don't know. Pete Dunne obviously got to be NXT champion at some point. Massive run. Then goes up to the main roster. On the main roster, Matt Riddle is WWE champion, fingers crossed, or Universal champion.
He's going for his first shot at that belt against Brock or something, and Pete debuts and costs him. That'd be bigger.
That's good as well. And then it's like, you abandoned me to seek fame and fortune. You lost our titles, and now that's what the feud's based off of. That's so good.
They should, and that whoever Matt Riddle was feuding with for the title at that time can move on to somebody else for a little bit. Him and Pete can have the feud. I would, only because he's the babyface, even though I'm a bigger Pete fan, I would make Riddle win by the end of the whole feud, the blood feud, whatever it would be, just to build him back up to that title shot again. It would make him mean more, and the fans would care more when he finally won the belt 6 months later, a year later after the Pete feud. So master storytelling at its finest. Longevity and patience, God forbid, in pro wrestling.
I mean, I know they're not going to do it, but the idea's there.
They're not going to put Pete Dunne or Matt Riddle. Well, maybe Matt Riddle, but they're not going to do it because they have their head up their ass.
Of course they do. I mean, like Pete, I don't even believe for a second, and I've heard that Vince McMahon is, thinks highly of Pete Dunne, but I, for a second, don't believe if Vince McMahon had Pete Dunne there at his beck and call on the main roster, he would look at Pete Dunne and he'd look at Roman Reigns and he'd choose Pete Dunne as, the face of the company.
Nothing about Pete Dunne screams anything Vince would be into. He's not pizzazz. He's not entertainment. He's not that style, and it just doesn't seem like anything on Vince's palate he would find just sustainable. He would hate it.
Which is why I want Pete Dunne kept as far away from the main roster as possible. Because what I don't want is for Pete Dunne to go up and they go 205 live. There you go.
Remember when we almost got that when he interrupted Enzo and Raw a couple years ago? And I was like, oh, God, no. The Cruiserweight division.
Yeah. Luckily for him, though, he still had the United Kingdom title, and it was in England. So it was more of a special, let's pop the crowd appearance than he could be a 205 Live competitor. I don't want to see Pete Dunne on the main roster if he's not going to be either in an Intercontinental title or World Heavyweight Championship picture. And if you're going to do that and put him in the Intercontinental title picture, he has to have a massive long reign to help build that championship up, because it's basically dead in the water. But somebody like Pete Dunne, with the reign he's had as United Kingdom champion and the reign he could have as NXT champion, might be able to bring back some posterity to that belt.
Speaking of secondary belts, before we get out of here, real quick, congrats to Apollo Crews winning the U.S. title. Who the fuck saw that coming? That just proves hard work, perseverance, dedication pays off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care, to be honest, but it's like the main roster just does not bother me anymore, at all. But yeah, congratulations.
I didn't watch it. I just saw it pop on my Twitter. I'm like, really? Did WWE turn into universe mode all of a sudden?
Oh my God. Oh, can we go home now, Travis?
Yes, one more time before we get out of here, Matt. Where can everyone catch you?
You can catch me on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. Go to unionsmack.bigcartel.com, pick up an official shirt from all of Travis's shows. And we mean every one of Travis's shows now. We have an official shirt dropping throughout the week to celebrate 3 years of Union Smack, all leading up to our brand new Union Smack World Tour show. So do look out for that. And completelynovel.com, where you can purchase a copy of my book, The Undertaker, A Trip Down Death Valley.
And I know you guys have been listening to it. The newest show on the channel, Muted with Bubba. Her shirt's coming. Her official shirt in the store too. Look for that. My God, man, 3 years looking back. I wish we had a more eventful episode to review for 3 years, but in a way, it was they kind of gave us like a nostalgic episode to talk about, kind of.
I mean, let's be honest. It's like 3 years ago we created this show to talk about this brand or what this brand would eventually become. And I think, 3 years later, sort of 3-year anniversary show, we're talking about what we set out to talk about in the beginning. So I think there's some poetry in that.
We're still fucking here. Still here plugging away.
That's it. You can't beat us. You can't get rid of us.
Nope. And we will be here next week and for 3 more years to come. God have mercy on our souls and your souls. But until those 3 years do, follow me one more time on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD. Hit that red button once again. Subscribe right here on YouTube. Down below, all the goodness. Retro Gaming, Pro Wrestling, Heavy Metal Podcast, Terry Bollea's shit. All the nerdy goodness. Until next time, Matt, cheers, my friend. To you guys, cheerio.